I know that the others will join as they are, and I know that you guys also have 7:30. And our session tonight is really about the introduction. So let me introduce myself. My name is Theo Woldscott. I have been part of the online team for the last 7 years. I teach mainly business management, leadership development, project management, and entrepreneurship. So that's really my area. My master's is in that, and my PhD that I'm busy doing at the moment is doing some research specifically to this particular area. And I'm so excited about digital entrepreneurship, but also digitization, because my research is on AI and strategic decision making and the intersection between those two. So I'm quite interested in and quite excited about this particular course and how this course has been designed specifically for the entrepreneurship students. Because before this, the earlier course, or the course that I've been teaching to the entrepreneurship, was just Business Management 2A. And Business Management 2A consisted of just entrepreneurship, so basic entrepreneurship, which was quite repetitive and was very much the same stuff that you will learn in entrepreneurship 1, 2, and 3. So I'm quite excited about how the fact that this is the first time that I'm presenting it, the fact that it's the first time that's part of the entrepreneurship curriculum, and it's very, very pertinent. It's very if you have chosen the entrepreneurship, the BCom in entrepreneurship, you've chosen it for a very specific reason. You've chosen it because either you feel that you are an entrepreneur, you are running your own business, you have grown up in a family that is running a business, you don't do well with people telling you what to do. So when you chose a BCom in entrepreneurship as opposed to a BCom in marketing, as opposed to a BCom in finance, you knew exactly why you chose it. Is that correct? Am I correct in my assumption? Shay and Jesse, when you chose this particular, and I see we've got some more people have joined us, when you've chosen this course, was it because you are an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur? You guys can switch on your microphone. Please jump in. I want to have engagement. I want you to talk and everybody to jump in. I don't want a session where we're sitting for 40 minutes, you on your computer, listening to this boring voice for 40 minutes, because you are going to fall asleep and it is very boring. So please jump in. Shay, why have you decided to do a BCom in entrepreneurship? Anyone else? Jesse, do you want to maybe jump in? I know not all of your microphones might be working, but that's okay. You can also type in the comments, or you can jump on the microphone. No problem. That's absolutely okay. Thanks, Shay, for letting me know. Anyone else? It'd be great to hear your voices. All right, if you're not comfortable, with sharing on a microphone, maybe just type in the comments. That would also be great. Okay. All right, thanks, Shay. The question was, why did you choose to register for and complete a BCom in entrepreneurship? What made you decide to do a BCom in entrepreneurship rather than a BCom in marketing or finance or strategic management or accounting for that matter, or economics for that matter? Why entrepreneurship? Anyone? You can type in the comments. You can just go yes or no, or maybe just a short sentence. That'd be great to hear from you. Can you guys hear me? I just want to double check because maybe you can't hear me well. Just give me a number out of 5 if you can hear me okay. 5 for very good, and 1 for you can't hear me so well. So just give me a number, please. Okay, thanks, Shay. All right, thanks, Shulu. Jesse, Esther. Alrighty, Jesse, you're saying that you want to open your own business. Nafalta's model teaches you a lot more about the ins and outs of operations involved in sharing long-term. Okay, good, good. So you feel that you are an entrepreneur. You feel as if entrepreneurs are driven by one thing. They're driven by this sort of uneasiness. They're driven by the uneasiness of the status quo. They first of all, they're not very comfortable working for other people. They always uneasy. They're always looking for opportunities. They're always scouting. They're always looking at the world positively, always looking at things. So they're always uneasy, and they never really. Entrepreneurs don't make good employees. Entrepreneurs don't make, sad to say, entrepreneurs don't make very good team members either. They're very much driven by something that, and a lot of entrepreneurs can't explain it, that they're just driven to create. They're driven to make something, to create something. Okay, you say I personally chose because I love the different parts of it. It's not just based on, okay, where it could become, you can learn all about the different parts of the commerce field to help me achieve my goals in life. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much for those that have commented, and welcome to this particular course. I know that the BCom in entrepreneurship have all the different bits and pieces, from accounting to economics to all of the other bits and pieces, and then you have this particular course, which sort of sits part of the business management curriculum, or part of the business management scaffold, if you should put it that way. So in the first year, you had business management 1A and 1B, which sort of gave you a very brief introduction of what business management is. Polk you did in first semester. Second semester, you did all of the different functions in the business operations, marketing, finance, and all of that. And then this course sort of sits in the middle between the next course. So the next course is BMNG 2B, or Business Management 2B, and that consists of a lot more organizational behavior. What is leadership, motivation, understanding organizational structure, how do you communicate, how do you make decisions in organizations, how do teams perform, and all of that. The behavior within organizations, that's what we call it, organizational behavior, and understanding how the different parts, people specifically, function in an organization. Third year of business management, 3A and 3B, consists of strategy. So the entire year is taken up by this course called strategic management. 3A, you do what is strategy, strategic direction, how to analyze the environment, and 3B is all about choosing the correct strategy for innovation, for performance, for industry, for global competitiveness, and so forth. So this course sort of sits in the middle. Jesse, you've got a question. This course also been great in helping me identify where an opportunity can improve, but also how I can be an ideal manager when I open my business one day. Absolutely, Jesse. And I hope, listen, a bachelor's degree is not meant to teach you skills as such. It's supposed to give you a whole lot of knowledge, and how you take that knowledge, hopefully, how you take that knowledge and interpret that knowledge and use that knowledge and turn those knowledge into skills, into a way of doing things. Hopefully, by knowing something, you can then translate that knowing of something and how something works, you can translate that into doing something, the particular skills. So a bachelor's degree, unlike other practical degrees, and unlike other more practical qualifications. So when you do an N6 to an N7 and an N8 in mechanical engineering, you work with your hands, you have a toolbox, and you learn a specific skill. Bachelor's degrees are very different. It's all about, that's why we used to call it, and it's still, in Latin, it is still, you read for your degree. So it's about knowledge. It's about learning to learn the information and the knowledge that you need in order to do the things that you need to do. So Jesse, hopefully after 3 years, 4 years, you'll be able to take all of this knowledge and translate that into being a good manager, managing your business, and so forth. Great. So thank you for that bit of introduction, and thank you guys for introducing yourself to me. And for those that came in a bit late, I have been part of the online space as an online lecturer for the last 7 years. And my main areas that I lecture in is business management, strategy, leadership development, and project management. And this is a new course. It is, and I'm very excited about how this course has been put together. Great. So let me just give you a brief overview of the lesson plan for the semester and how we're going to connect with one another. It's called student contracting. So hopefully this is our first session this evening. And there's also iStars that I have put out, and I encourage you to complete that as soon as possible. All the iStars are due on the 27th of May, so they're all due over here. But you can do them each week as I load them. I will be loading them in the next 2 weeks to make sure that all of them are there for you to be able to complete. There's a couple of public holidays which does impact and affect our contact. So on the 21st, there won't be a live session, but there will be some sort of action, some sort of engagement, some sort of recording that you can engage in. Yes, Jesse's got a question. How do we submit the 250-word essay for iStars 1? I wanted to do mine, but did not see the option for it. Jesse, you just click on the actual title of the iStars. So you just click on the title of the iStars, and a assignment submission link will open. So that is where you click on, and then you can just submit your document, preferably in a PDF or in a Word format, please. So this is really an important bit. It's about you working through your content, you making sure that you prepare for your POE. I will be spending time, so a lot of our sessions will be spent on working through the POE, working through part 1, working through part 2, before the submissions in order to prepare you for those submissions. I am going to be spending very little time on the actual sort of content. I will only touch on the content as it relates to your POE. The rest and the balance of the content, my expectation is that you'll be doing that as part of your self-study in order to prepare yourself better for your final POE submission. Is that clear? Do you understand what I mean by that? Just give me a thumbs up in the comment section. Awesome. Great. Thanks, Esther. Kumanko, Chulu, is it Chulumanko? Just let me know if I'm pronouncing your name properly, please. Is it Chulu or Chulumanko? Just let me know. Yes, go for it. How do I pronounce it? Chulu?
Hello, sir. My name is
Yes.
It is Tulumango,
okay.
but sir, it's fine. You can just call me Sinepo since it's hard to pronounce.
Okay, so Chulumanko. Is there? There's a in the second part. In a second. Oof. I'll try. But thank you very much. I appreciate that. And thank you for your patience with me. In terms of our breakdown of the course, it is, the iStars, it is part 1 is 25%, part 2 is 30%, and then the final POE is 35%, and that equals to your 100% for your course. I really like the fact that it is a POE and not a sit-down closed book exam, because if I look at the content of the course, you are not going to learn anything by trying to memorize 10 chapters of stuff. But if you look at the POE, part 1 and part 2, and the final POE, at least it is very practical in a sense that you can apply the content and apply the different concepts and actually write it out rather than trying to remember 10 chapters of stuff that you're just going to forget. So the fact that it's a POE is really encouraging, and hopefully through this process of completing the POE, a lot more things will stick, a lot more of the stuff will stick, a lot more of the frameworks, a lot more of the knowledge, a lot more of the concepts will stick rather than you just trying to remember it for an exam. So what is the course all about? This module exposes students to various entrepreneurial opportunities due to digitalization, and I'm going to touch on that now. To be used, tools and techniques to use within a sustainable deals of business. Furthermore, the module provides insight into digital transformation, organizational design, and ventures. So what I'm going to ask you right now, I'm going to give you a few moments. I want you to go and ask Google the names of the 5 most valuable companies by share price, the 5 most valuable companies in the world. What is the top 5 most valuable companies in the world? I'm gonna give you a few moments. I've just rephrased on the S&P 500 stock exchange. Excellent. Thank you very much, Akai. It's Apple, it's Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, and Alphabet. Do you know what do all of them have in common? They're all technology businesses. They're all digital businesses. Yes. So Amazon, yes. Microsoft, yes. Apple makes hardware devices, and Nvidia makes hardware and devices, but they're all within the same space. Do you guys know what the value of these companies are combined? Just these five, they're valued in over $7.5 trillion US. To give you an idea how big that is, the world's GDP, so all of the countries, every single country around the world, if you add up all of their GDP, it's roughly about 100 to 110 trillion US. These companies account for, just these five companies account for about 5 to 6% of the world's GDP. Private companies, these companies are bigger than some countries, then more than something like more than 80% of the countries' GDPs out there. It is crazy. So these are all technology companies, and we'll come back to them just now and talk through the idea of digitalization and digital, and understanding the difference between the two. So this is your textbook. I'm not quite sure. Did you guys manage to buy the textbook? Can I just have a thumbs up, yes or no, if you've managed to buy the textbook, get it delivered? Okay, thanks, Jesse. Yeah. Okay, Esther downloaded it. Yes, excellent. Good. I think some of the Varsity College libraries also have one. So if you need to get one, please, you can also go through to a campus. All right. So let me just do a quick overview of the 8 learning units that is covered. It is Introduction to Digitization and Digital Business. And I'll talk a little bit about that this evening. Why should we digitally transform? And this is an interesting, very interesting chapter around understanding what is digital transformation and how does it impact businesses, whether you are making something, an actual product, an actual unit, an actual piece of a tangible product that you can hold in your hand. All businesses are digitally transforming, whether you're making tangible things or whether you're selling products that only consist of electrons. So products that only consist of electrons are pure digital products. Give me an example of a purely digital product that used to be only available as a tangible product. It used to be black and it used to be round. And later on, it used to be round and shiny. And now, most of you most probably are only buying in a format which consists of electrons, so purely digital. Anyone wants to take a guess? Anyone? Not so long ago, we had to buy our music on LPs, long players. It is an analog version of it. It's a big round black thing. It's called a long player or LP or album or vinyl. And the way it worked was it was a groove, and in the groove was little ridges of different heights. And then you would have a needle that is very sensitive that would ride in this groove. And as this needle runs over the different ridges of different heights, it would produce a sound, purely analog. We then had the digitization of music, in which it was transformed from an analog to a digital format. But we still needed a tangible piece of hardware in order to enjoy our music, which was the CD. So you can then buy this little shiny thing, and then it was a lot more music on a smaller format, and it was just as good. Some would say maybe not as good as a vinyl, but just as good, and in high fidelity sound. But you still needed a piece of hardware. You still needed a tangible product in your hands. CDs have then turned to streaming, in which you don't need a CD player. You don't need you don't need any piece of hardware. You use your phone to stream music wherever you are, whenever you want to. And you literally have at your fingertips millions and millions of songs that you can listen to. So within a very short period of time, we have digitally transformed an industry away from analog to completely 100% digital. When do technology disruptions occur? Chapters 3 and 4, not the entire chapters, but portions of it. How do they occur? And then 4IR, does anybody know what 4IR stand for? Anyone? Fourth Industrial Revolution, thank you very much, DG. So Fourth Industrial Revolution, Chapter 8 and 9, Traditional Strategy in a Digital Era. This is interesting for me, simply because whenever I look at businesses, I look at through a strategy lens. I look through it through a strategy lens, and I see how business moves. And it's quite interesting to see how a company like Microsoft, and I will send you a link to it, how Microsoft have moved, how they've changed their strategy from a business that sells software to a completely digital business right now. And you can see how the share price have changed as well. We talk about digital maturity and then lean innovation. Lean innovation leans or draws on lean manufacturing. Lean manufacturing is this idea of quality, of using quality as part and parcel and embedded quality in your manufacturing process. When we talk about lean innovation, it is this idea that you innovate quickly and fast. There's a book called Innovate. There's a book called what's it called? Innovate and Break Things, or something to that effect, which is underpinned by this idea that if you don't break something, then you're not moving fast enough. It's called Move Fast and Break Things, something like that. If you're not moving fast enough, if you're not innovating fast enough, if you're not creating fast enough, and to break things and breaking things, then you're not doing it properly. And then innovation isn't worth taking to market. So that's just a brief overview of the 8 different learning modules. So what I want to do now is just briefly touch on this idea of digitization and what it entails. I'm not going to be too long. It's going to be just about 10 minutes. It's only about 25 slides. So What is digitization? Because I've now thrown these words around and these concepts around. So what is digitization and digitalization? So it's two different things, digitization versus digitalization. And what are the major trends? Why would we want to digitally transform? When and why does disruption occur? Why does digital disruption occur? Where has digital disruption occurred less? So where has it occurred and where has it occurred less? I can't think of a single industry which has not been disrupted by digitalization, digitization as opposed to digitalization. I've not known of a single industry which have not digitized, which have not gone sort of online, which have not moved away from analog to into digital. Yesterday, when was it? In a week, I was at the pharmacy and I needed a new script for my tablets. Yes, digitalization about approving. Digitization is about converting. Absolutely. So I was looking at. I went to the doctor. He gave me a piece of paper, and I went to the pharmacy. And I asked the pharmacist, why are we still doing this? This is like, I mean, we've been doing this for the past 100 years. The doctor writes on a piece of paper, and I take it to someone, and they give me my medicine. Why hasn't it digitized it? Why isn't there a form and a way in which when I leave the doctor, he just sends it directly to the pharmacy, and by the time I get it, it's already for me, instead of me standing in a queue and having to give you a piece of paper that you still file and you check and stuff. And she says they're busy digitizing that process as we speak. Doctors go onto a online app, they load it for the patient, and then it gets sent through to the pharmacy. The patient gets a PIN number, and the pharmacy also gets a PIN number. So when you get to the pharmacist, you must give them the PIN number, and then they unlock the script, and they then issue you with your medicines and with your prescription. But I mean, we're like in 2024, and I don't know about you, but most of you, if you've gone to the doctor, you've left there with a piece of paper that you've then taken to the pharmacy. So even though it's taken a long time, and most of it in other parts of the world, this process is digital, it's taken a while for it to get to that point. So absolutely, the comment is that digitalization is about improving and digitization is about converting. So what is digital? So what do we mean by digital? It is some part of physical or analog process changed to data programming or zeros and ones. So earlier on I said electrons. Electrons are essentially the stuff that runs in cables, and they all consist of zeros and one. Data, they're all zeros and one. So digital is taking some sort of physical or analog process and changing that to data or programming zeros and ones. Earlier I talked about vinyl, time, documents, and that's what that is. So you go from writing on a piece of paper on a pen, making a note on your cell phone, a watch, which is a very analog thing, a clock, looking at a digital alarm clock, taking the same thing and just turn it into a digital representation of that. Taking vinyl and converting it into a digital form of the same thing. And at the end of it, it's about converting that analog information into some sort of digital information. What is the advantage of this? The advantage is that this takes up almost no space, where these physical things take up a lot of space. So you have to store them, you have to care for them, you have to ensure that they stay, that they don't get damaged. But in addition to that, if you want to send somebody a piece of music, you have to take this physical piece of vinyl, put it into the post, and hopefully it will arrive at the other side, maybe a few weeks later. Whereas a digital form of the same thing, you can send through a wire on your computer, goes through fiber, goes through the internet, and it arrives with the other person instantaneously. So that's what digital is. So what is digital versus physical versus analog? So the old straight to analog idea, as I talked about vinyl earlier, is you take your music that's on a piece of vinyl, that's on a LP, you convert that into some sort of, you use some sort of program, you convert that onto zeros and ones, and you listen to it. You have some sort of device that you use to listen to it. But some part is always physical, whether it's your phone, whether it is your watch or VR glasses, AR glasses. You still need something to view that information. You can't. Nobody reads zeros and ones. Computer programmers are very good at reading code, but that code doesn't. It's when you look at a piece of code, it's not a language. So you still need something to transform that code into something that you can see, something that you can communicate with, something that you can interact with. Analog as a person-technology interface. So we experience technology through our analog senses. As I said, nobody can read ones and zeros. Nobody can read a piece of code as if it's a language. Nobody's capable of doing that yet. So we still experience technology. We still experience the music that we're listening to through our ears, which is uniquely analog. When we type in a piece of code, we still press on a physical keyboard or we use a physical mouse. So even though the data is ones and zeros, even though it has been digitally transformed, the way we experience it is still through our analog senses that we have. So there's this encoding process on the one side that then turns it digital, and then there's a decoding process on the other side, which turns it back into some sort of analog interaction that we, as humans, can then engage with. So digitization versus digitalization. So digitization is this process of taking analog, basic process of rendering something into a digital format, digital photographs, computing, online, algorithm trading, and so forth. Whereas digitalization or digital transformation is another word for digitalization, is a complete transformation and change of a process, organization, or even society to adapt to a new technology or related market and social realities. Prime example is things like map books. We have adapted not to need a map or need directions for that matter. Before, when you left home, you would always make sure that you know exactly, when you get into the car, you know exactly which street to go down, which street to go to, etc. Except if you're going towards a place that you've been to already numerous times and you know how to get there. But if you're going to someplace new or novel, you will make sure that you have a route mapped out, analog with the actual map book, or written instructions, or memorized instructions. Now, we have completely transformed to a place where we don't think about directions. If for whatever reason we find ourselves in a place that we're unsure of, we reach out to our phone and we type in directions and we follow the piece of, and you follow the prompts on your map, whether it is Google Maps or whether it's Apple Maps or whether it is any one of the apps that you can use. Our social reality has completely transformed, and that is just one. Think of the way we communicate, that it has completely transformed. Nobody writes letters to each other any longer. We send a digital packet of information over the internet, and that digital packet of information gets decoded by a device that gives you a letter on the other side. So digital transformation is this process of digitization that completely changes the way we interact and we as society is structured and is transformed. And the same for organizations as well. So let's have a look at some of the major trends that has been driving this. We know, the Stone Age, sort of 250,000 to 300 to 3,000 before BC. And then we had the Bronze Age. So the Stone Age was really, people had very few tools. It was hunter-gatherers. And then we had the Bronze Age when people were settling down. People were sitting down or settling down, and they started farming and they started domesticating animals. And then the Iron Age, in which we finally managed to develop tools that are sharper, last longer, through iron, and also we settled into towns and we started coming together, and society started being structured a lot more formally and a lot more in strict hierarchies. So the first industrial revolution is really the mechanization, the whole wide mechanization, wide-scale mechanization of industry. The ability to make lots of things, wide-scale mechanization of industry. The ability to make lots of things quicker, faster, at a lower cost, most importantly, through economies of scale, through the mechanization of production. Before that, human growth and societal growth and ability for humans to make and grow more people, grow bigger towns, grow bigger cities, was really limited by our ability to make things. So before the first industrial revolution, we were making things on a small scale by hand, and it took very long. A pair of shoes would take a few weeks, a coat would take a few months, etc., 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 and so forth, until the first industrial revolution, when production was mechanized. The second industrial revolution was what we call the steroid revolution, as Greg's name, electricity, internal combustion, and the telephone. And that's important because electricity and internal combustion, through us being able to convert oil, that was useless up to that point. If it wasn't for the internal combustion engine and the conversion of oil into kerosene, and the ability to communicate over distances. Those three things needed to happen at the same time, and they happened at the same time, and that is what drove the second industrial revolution. Our discovery of electricity and the transmission of that electricity over long distances. Internal combustion allowed us for the first time to go places faster than we've ever gone before. And then the telephone was the ability to communicate over distances. So those three things together drove the second industrial revolution. The third industrial revolution was driven by miniaturization. We talk about computer processing, data storage, first generation internet, first generation digital and mobile communication. And again, it is communication and information, storage and processing, computer processing ability. So instead of a loom that can make huge swaths of material, now you have a computer that can take lots of data and being able to transform that data into information, making better and quicker decisions. So that's the third industrial revolution. The third industrial revolution also drove things like the internet, content generated on the internet, communication, collaboration, and also new jobs, new competencies. We think about this. Up until 60 years ago, there was no such thing as a computer programmer. Within 60 years, we've gone through the first guy that programmed a computer language, to now IT professionals, an entire new part of the business that has sprung up over the last 40 years, last 50, 60 years, really. So how do we move from the third industrial revolution into the fourth industrial revolution? So we are busy and we are in that transition from the third into the fourth. So we're not in the fourth industrial revolution yet, but we are transitioning into it. Artificial intelligence is a big piece of the puzzle that has just come into the general conversation. It's always been there, but it was very niche. It was very much a scientific area of expertise, but now it's become into the mainstream. Cloud computing, the Internet of Things, the ability to connect a whole bunch of things with a whole bunch of sensors and connect all of them so that they talk to one another. Blockchain technology is also completely different, something that no one predicted. Virtual and augmented reality, VR and AR, is also driving collaboration and connection in a completely different way. So we have all of these different technologies. There's also other technologies, things like 3D printing, things like neural networks, so many different things that are sort of coming, that's always been there, that has been in research phase, that is slowly transforming and becoming part of our conscious and part of our society, digitalizing and transforming our society. So let me skip through. You guys can download this presentation if you want to. So the next part of the fourth industrial revolution is quantum computing. Quantum computing is still in development, so it was like what ChatGPT was like 10 years ago. Quantum computing is sort of there at the moment. But with AI and how fast AI is developing, they're saying that quantum computing will be coming forward closer as a reality. If you want to know more about quantum computing, I'd suggest doing a bit of research on it. It is fascinating. So quantum computing is definitely into the fourth industrial revolution. Digital communication, data storage, the move to cloud. What was there? Yeah, here we go. So these are some of the trends. So we've got cloud computing, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, robotics, virtual augmented reality, blockchain, big data, cybersecurity, additive manufacturing, which is 3D printing, and then biotechnology, especially neurotechnology, which includes neural networks. I will upload these ones onto the more resources for you this evening after the session. Let me pause there. I think I've put a lot of things on the table. So that is just a very brief introduction about, and I think it's important that you understand this idea of digital transformation, because it is important for when you going through a textbook as well as when you're looking at your POE, you'll see it very quickly that it's in that realm. It's not just about entrepreneurship, but it's about understanding this process of digital transformation. So with 2 minutes to go, let me briefly touch on the POE. The POE consists of 3 parts, which is part 1, which has a series of questions. And in our next session, I will touch on part 1 specifically, and I'll also send you some information of where to look and how to ensure that you complete part 1 and come to our next session with definitely questions on part 1 rather than so let us having a Q&A on part 1. So question 1, question 2, and question 3 for 60 marks. And then part 2 is all about disruption for 100 marks. There's a 10-mark question, 15, and a 25-mark question, as well as a 20 mark and a 15 mark. So definitely, whereas part 1 is a lot more shorter questions, a lot more theory, part 2 is a lot more application. And then when you get to your POE, you'll find that it's a lot more about application. It's a lot more thinking through things like empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test within. So these ideas are part of your entrepreneurship curriculum. So you understand some of these. This is part of innovation curriculum. So now we just need to adapt and look at that innovation curriculum and look at specifically that particular section and how it fits in. All right. That brings us to the end of tonight's session. Are there any questions that you guys have? Please post them on the WhatsApp group. Also, please email me as well. I'm available by email. We have 24 hours to answer your questions. But if you post it on a WhatsApp group, it's always great, because then everybody else can also see the questions and they can jump in and possibly sort of give you answers. All right. Was tonight's session useful? Jesse, then what you can do is I'll post it in here. Possibly if you click on here, invite to group via group link, copy link. Alrighty, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate your time, and I know you guys have another session after this, so enjoy. Have a good evening. Cheers, guys. Awesome. Bye.